I never thought I'd be the kind of guy to get blindsided like this, but here I am, writing this down because I honestly don't know what else to do. My name's Jake, and I've been with my wife, Emily, for about 7 years now. When we first met, I thought she was the perfect girl, smart, funny, a little bitchy sometimes, but in a way that made her interesting. We got married 2 years ago, and honestly, I thought we had a pretty good life, or at least I did. We had this beach house down in Florida we'd go to every summer, just me, her, and sometimes her sister or friends. It was our little escape, a place where I thought we could disconnect from the world and just enjoy each other. But everything changed last summer. It started with small things. She'd come home late from work more often, would get defensive when I asked where she'd been, and her phone was glued to her hand constantly. I figured she was just stressed or maybe trying to impress some new client, but there was this vibe, like she was hiding something. Still, I didn't want to jump to conclusions. I loved her and I trusted her, or at least I thought I did. She'd always brushed off my questions, telling me I was paranoid, that I was overthinking, that she wasn't doing anything wrong. Then came the trip to the beach house. We packed up and headed down there, just the two of us. I remember noticing she was unusually tense, snapping at me over small things, and her phone kept buzzing like crazy. I was trying to keep things light, but she was acting distant, like she was somewhere else mentally. The first real sign was when I saw her phone on the kitchen counter, and I noticed the screen was open to a message thread with someone named Bobby. I didn't think much of it at first, but I recognized the name. Bobby was our mutual friend, her coworker, the one she's always flirted with a little but denied anything going on. That night, I decided to check her texts. I figured I'd just see what she's been hiding. I slipped into her phone and unlocked it when she went to the bathroom. My heart was pounding like a drum, and what I saw, I still can't believe I missed the signs for so long. There were dozens of messages, flirty, suggestive, outright sexual. She was joking about sex with Bobby, telling him she couldn't wait to see him again, how much she missed their secret talks. And the worst part, she lied about everything for months. Said she was working late, going out for drinks with friends, but those messages told a different story. They were talking about sneaking around, meeting up at the beach house while I was working or out of town. I felt sick. It was like a punch to the gut. I kept reading, trying to hold back the rage and heartbreak. She had been lying to my face for months, and I only caught her because I was suspicious and decided to poke around. I never thought she'd do this to me, especially not with my best friend. I mean, I knew Emily could be bitchy and manipulative, but I didn't think she was a cheat, at least not until I saw those texts. And the worst part, she's pregnant now. Yeah, she's pregnant with Bobby's kid. I found out when I saw a doctor's appointment confirmation on her phone. She's been hiding that too. It's a mess, honestly. I don't even know what to feel anymore. I'm angry, hurt, humiliated, and a little lost. All the trust I had in her is shattered, and I don't even know if I want to try to fix this or just cut her out of my life. But what's worse is the way she lied, the way she dismissed me when I confronted her. She acted like I was overreacting, told me I was crazy and paranoid, that I was imagining things, that she didn't do anything wrong, that she loved me and was just upset about the fight. But I saw her texts. I saw the pictures she sent Bobby. I saw her lying about her whereabouts when I called her every hour that weekend. And now I'm stuck with this terrible feeling that everything I believed in was a lie. I look at her like she's some stranger. I don't even know how we got here, how she managed to keep this hidden so long, or how I'm supposed to look her in the eyes after everything. It's like I was walking around blind, trusting her to be faithful, and she turned out to be completely different behind my back. I don't even know what I want anymore, but I do know I have to figure out what my next move is. Because this isn't just a betrayal. It's a complete breakdown of everything I thought we had. After I found those texts and saw her doctor's appointment, everything felt like it was collapsing inside me. I remember sitting on the couch, staring at her phone still in my hand, trying to process what I'd just uncovered. My mind was racing, anger, confusion, sadness all blending into this terrible knot in my stomach. I kept thinking about all those nights when she said she was working late or out with friends, and I had just accepted it. I believed her. I was naive, I guess. Now looking back, the signs were there. Her phone always hidden, her quick temper when I asked questions, the way she would dodge around anything personal. But I was too blind to see it. I knew I had to confront her. I couldn't keep pretending I didn't know. So I called her into the living room, my hands trembling a little. She looked at me with that same bitchy glare she always had, like she knew she was in control even now. But I wasn't going to let her manipulate me anymore. I told her I knew everything about Bobby, the text, her pregnancy, everything. And her reaction, oh, her reaction. She scoffed and rolled her eyes like I was bothering her, like I was some jealous loser trying to ruin her life. She said, "Jake, you're overreacting. You don't know what you're talking about. That's just some stupid flirtation. We're just friends, and I don't know why you're making this into something bigger than it is." I couldn't believe what I was hearing. How could she be so dismissive? I told her I wasn't stupid, that I'd seen enough to know she was lying, that the texts proved she had been cheating on me with Bobby for months and now she's pregnant with his kid. She just shrugged and said, "Well, maybe I am pregnant and maybe I'm not. Maybe Bobby's the father and maybe he is. Honestly, I don't owe you an explanation. I'm tired of your accusations. Maybe you should just leave me alone if you're so obsessed." That was the moment I realized how deep her manipulation went. She was playing the victim, acting like I was the crazy one for catching her, like she had all the power. It made me feel sick. I felt this boiling mix of rage and heartbreak, like I was about to explode. I told her I couldn't just pretend none of this happened, that I needed time to think, to figure out what I was going to do. But inside, I already knew I couldn't stay with her. Not after she lied so blatantly, not after she fucked around with my best friend, and not after she got pregnant with his kid. The next few days were a blur. I couldn't sleep, couldn't eat. Every time I closed my eyes, I saw her lying, smirking at me like I was some idiot for believing her. I kept thinking about the good times, about how we used to laugh and plan a future, and then I thought about her text messages, her sneaking around. It felt like I had been living in some terrible nightmare, and I couldn't wake up. But I knew I had to make a choice. Part of me wanted to just cut her out completely, forget she ever existed. But another part, this stupid, weak part, wanted to believe she could change, that maybe she was just confused or scared. But the truth was, she didn't even seem sorry. She didn't care that she hurt me, that she lied for so long. She just kept acting like I was the problem, like I was the one who screwed up. It was infuriating. I started thinking about what I could do next. I knew I had to talk to Bobby, but I hesitated. Part of me didn't want to get involved with him, but part of me knew I needed to hear from him directly. I also realized I needed to get legal advice, figure out what rights I had, especially with her being pregnant. I wasn't sure if I wanted her to keep the baby or if I even wanted her to stay in my life anymore. The trust was gone, and I wasn't sure I could ever get it back. Deep down, I was furious. Not just at her, but at myself for ever trusting her so blindly. I kept replaying every little thing she said, every lie she told, and I started to see the pattern. She was manipulative, bitchy, and good at hiding her true self. I felt like a fool for not seeing it sooner. But I also felt numb, like I was walking around in a daze, trying to make sense of this whole mess. I knew I had to do something, but I didn't know what. All I knew was that my world had been turned upside down, and I wasn't sure if I'd ever come back from it. In the days that followed, I found myself oscillating between anger and despair. Every time I tried to focus on work or anything normal, I kept getting pulled back to those messages, her dismissive attitude, and the way she brushed off my questions like they were a nuisance. I kept asking myself how I could have missed all the signs. How did I not see that she was already planning this behind my back? I mean, she's always been good at hiding her true feelings, but this was next level. I've known Emily to be bitchy and manipulative, but this was outright deception on a scale I never imagined. I also started thinking about Bobby, our friend, someone I introduced into our lives, someone I trusted. I feel like I knew him, or at least I had. Turns out I didn't know anything. The betrayal cuts deep because it's not just her cheating on me, it's her betraying the friendship we all shared. And I wonder how many other lies are hiding behind her perfect, bitchy facade. I want to scream at her for lying, for sneaking around, for getting pregnant by my best friend, all while pretending everything was fine. But I also know shouting won't change anything. I needed to make a plan. I decided I had to confront Bobby. I couldn't let this go without hearing his side. I mean, I knew he was no angel, but I still wanted to hear what he had to say face to face. I reached out to him, told him I wanted to meet up. His reaction was cold, like he was expecting me to come crawling back, but he agreed to meet. We arranged a time and place, just a quiet bar downtown. I wanted to keep it low, not make a scene, but inside I was boiling. I knew I had to face whatever truths he had, knowing full well it might be worse than I thought. The meeting was tense from the start. Bobby looked uncomfortable, maybe even guilty, which only made me angrier. I didn't waste time. I told him I knew everything, her texts, the pregnancy, everything. I wanted to hear it from him straight. He looked down, sighed, and finally admitted that they'd been messing around for a few months, that she reached out to him first when she was feeling neglected or whatever. He said, "Look, Jake, I didn't want to hurt you. I didn't plan for this to happen. Things just got out of control. I care about Emily and I want to be there for the kid." Hearing that, I felt like I was punched again. The words "care about Emily" made my stomach turn. That bitch was always so bitchy and self-centered, and now she's got a kid on the way by my best friend. It was too much. I told Bobby I didn't want to hear any more bullshit. I said, "You knew she was married. You knew she was my wife, and you still did this. You're supposed to be my friend. How could you sleep with her knowing everything?" He looked ashamed, but he didn't deny it. He just said he was weak, that she knew what to say, how to manipulate him. I could tell he was regretful, but honestly that didn't help. Nothing could undo what had been done. The betrayal was too deep. I left that bar feeling emptier than I'd ever felt before, realizing that my closest circle had crumbled right in front of me. Back at home, Emily was still there, acting like she owned the place. When I confronted her again, she was more bitchy than ever. "You think you're so perfect, don't you? Like you're the only one who matters. Well, I'm tired of your stupid questions. I don't owe you an explanation. I'm pregnant, Jake, whether you like it or not." Her words hit me hard even now. I wanted to scream, to shout, to do something, anything, except just stand there and listen to her dismiss everything like it was nothing. I looked at her and saw the same bitchy smirk she always had, and I realized I'd been a fool for so long. For loving her, for trusting her, for believing she was the girl I married. All that trust gone, I felt like I was drowning, struggling to breathe. I knew I had to decide what to do next. I couldn't live like this, not with her lying and cheating and expecting everything to just go back to normal. I was angry at her, furious at Bobby, and more than anything, I was hurting. Deep down, I thought I was really in love with her. But love doesn't mean much anymore when it's been betrayed so thoroughly. I started thinking about ending it, about divorcing her, about moving away from everything I thought I knew. I even considered just walking out and never looking back. The idea of raising a kid with someone like her, who had lied and cheated and played me for a fool, just seemed impossible. But part of me also wondered if there was still a chance, if somehow there was a way to fix this mess. Deep down, I knew that might be wishful thinking. Trust was shattered, and I didn't know if it could ever be repaired. All I know is my life was never going to be the same again. The following days were a whirlwind. I couldn't escape the thought of her bitchy smirk, her lies, her pregnancy. Every time I closed my eyes, I saw her texting Bobby, heard her dismissive words, felt the betrayal like a knife twisting in my gut. I couldn't even sleep properly. My mind kept circling back to what I should do, what I could do. I felt numb, like I'd been punched so hard I couldn't stand upright. The worst part was, everything I thought I knew about her, about us, was a lie. How could someone I loved turn out to be this manipulative, selfish person? I started to realize that I couldn't just keep pretending everything was okay. I had to face the reality that Emily was not the woman I thought I married. She had lied to my face for months, played the victim when caught, and now she's pregnant with my best friend's kid. That's an explosive combination, and honestly, I didn't know how to process it. Just thinking about her being pregnant by Bobby made me sick. I kept asking myself, how do I handle this? Do I stick around and try to salvage what's left? Or do I cut her out and start over? One night, I finally sat down to write everything out. I needed clarity. I listed all the signs I missed, the lies I caught her in, the moments I felt something was wrong but ignored it. I wrote about the texts, the pregnancy, her dismissiveness when I confronted her. It was painful, but it helped me see how deeply I'd been betrayed. The more I wrote, the more I realized I couldn't stay with her, not without a serious fight, and even then I doubted I could ever trust her again. That trust was shattered beyond repair. I also reached out to a lawyer the next day. I wanted to know my rights, especially with her being pregnant and the possibility of custody issues. The lawyer told me that I had a good chance of establishing paternity when the time came, and that I should consider taking DNA tests to confirm whether the baby was mine or Bobby's. That hit me hard. Part of me still hoped I was wrong, that maybe she wasn't pregnant or that I was overreacting. But deep down, I knew the truth was probably worse. Meanwhile, I kept trying to talk to Emily. Every conversation was a battle. She'd throw her bitchy attitude at me, dismiss what I said, or act like I was overreacting. "You're just jealous," she snapped. "You're crazy if you think I could cheat on you. You're always accusing me of shit." She kept trying to make me feel like I was the one losing it, that I was the problem, but I saw through her act now. She was good at lying, at pretending she was the victim, but I wasn't falling for it anymore. The final straw was when she snapped at me during one of our fights and said, "You're just insecure, Jake. I don't have to prove anything to you. The baby's mine. End of story." That was when I realized I had to make a choice. I could keep fighting, keep questioning, keep hoping she'd change, though deep down I knew she wouldn't. Or I could accept that this was the end of us, that my marriage was broken beyond repair. I felt torn, angry, exhausted. It was a strange feeling because part of me still loved her, some stupid, stubborn part that refused to let go. But that love was buried under a mountain of lies and betrayal. I couldn't look at her the same way anymore. I saw her for what she truly was: manipulative, bitchy, and completely self-centered. And I knew I had to protect myself, my sanity, and whatever future I could salvage from this mess. I decided I needed space, time to breathe, to figure out what I really wanted. I told her I was leaving the house for a while, that I needed to think. She scoffed and rolled her eyes like I was just making some big drama over nothing. I packed a bag, told her I'd be back when I was ready to talk. And as I left, I couldn't help but feel a strange sense of relief, almost like I'd been given a chance to breathe after holding my breath for so long. But underneath that, there was a deep, aching hurt. I had loved her. I had trusted her. And now, I wasn't sure I'd ever be able to trust anyone again. The betrayal cut so deep it felt like I'd been hollowed out inside. I realized that the road ahead was going to be painful, that I'd have to rebuild my life from the ground up. But for now, I just needed space, time to figure out if I even wanted her, if she deserved a second chance after all this. Days turned into weeks, and I stayed away from Emily, trying to piece together what my next move should be. Every morning I woke up with a weight on my chest, knowing that she was still there, pregnant by Bobby, while I was out somewhere trying to hold myself together. I couldn't shake the feeling that I'd been played, the way she lied, the way she manipulated me with that bitchy attitude, acting like she was the victim when she was the one in control all along. It made me sick. I kept asking myself if I could ever look her in the eyes again, knowing she'd betrayed everything we had. During that time, I sought out some support. I talked to a counselor just to get my head straight. I needed someone to tell me I wasn't crazy for feeling this way, that what she did was wrong, and I didn't have to just accept it. The counselor helped me see that I was in shock, that my feelings of betrayal and anger were valid. She also advised me to focus on protecting myself legally, especially since the pregnancy was real now. I started to gather evidence, screenshots of texts, the doctor's appointment confirmation, anything that could help me in the future if I decided to take legal action or contest paternity. Meanwhile, I kept my distance from Emily, but she kept trying to contact me, calling, texting, sending angry messages. She accused me of being selfish, of not caring about her or the baby. She'd say I was overreacting, that I was just jealous and insecure. Honestly, I couldn't even respond anymore. Each message just made my stomach turn. I could see how she was trying to manipulate me into feeling guilty, into doubting my own instincts. She still had that bitchy edge in her tone, like she knew she had the upper hand, but I wasn't falling for it anymore. I'd learned that her bitchy attitude was just a shield for the lies she told. One night, I finally decided I had to face the truth head-on. I arranged for a paternity test. I needed to know if the baby was mine or if Bobby was the father. It was a brutal choice, but I couldn't keep living in uncertainty. I also wanted to see if I could salvage some sense of control over this chaos. When the test results came back, I was braced for the worst. Part of me already knew that Bobby was likely the father, but I had to be sure. The results confirmed it. The baby wasn't mine. That was a punch to the stomach, yet somehow it was also a relief. At least I knew for sure. I wasn't the father, which meant I didn't have to compete in some twisted, emotional game with Bobby. That was a turning point. I realized I couldn't keep pretending things would somehow turn out okay. I had to make a decision about the future. I sat down with the lawyer again and started considering divorce. I couldn't stay married to someone who'd betrayed me so thoroughly, who'd lied for so long, and who was now carrying someone else's child. The thought of her being pregnant with Bobby's kid made me sick, but also made me realize I had to prioritize my own mental health and move on. I started imagining what life could look like without her, free from the lies, the manipulation, the bitchy attitude that had kept me chained to a nightmare. But even with that clarity, the pain lingered. I felt like a fool for trusting her for so long. I replayed every moment, every sign I missed. I wondered if I ever really knew her at all. And I felt a strange mix of anger and sadness. Anger that she could be so manipulative, so selfish, and sadness because deep down, I still loved her, even if I knew I shouldn't. I kept telling myself I deserved better, that I'd find a way to rebuild my life from this wreckage. But right now, all I felt was exhausted, emotionally drained, like I'd been through a war I didn't sign up for. I walked out of the house that night with just a few things, leaving behind the ghost of what I thought was my life with Emily. I knew I had a long road ahead, healing, rebuilding, trusting again if that was even possible. But I also knew I'd survived something ugly and that I was still here, still standing. That's what I kept telling myself. No matter how much she betrayed me, I still had the power to shape my own future, even if that future didn't include her anymore. Now, sitting here reflecting on everything, I realize how much I've grown through this hellish ordeal. It's been weeks since I left her, and honestly, at first I felt like I was falling apart. Every morning I woke up with this gnawing ache, wondering if I'd ever trust anyone again, if I'd ever want to love like that again. But slowly I started to rebuild. I cut out all contact with Emily, no texts, no calls, no social media stalking. I needed to focus on myself, on healing from the betrayal. It wasn't easy. There were nights I'd lie awake, replaying her bitchy smirk, the lies, the way she dismissed everything I tried to ask her. But I knew I had to move forward. Seeing what she did, how she lied, manipulative and selfish, it taught me a lot. I learned that trusting blindly is a mistake, that sometimes the person you love most can turn out to be someone else entirely. I also learned that I'm stronger than I thought. I survived the heartbreak, the betrayal, the shock, and the anger. I learned to set boundaries, to protect myself, and to never ignore the signs of someone's true character, no matter how much you want to believe in them. Today, I'm trying to put the pieces back together. I've started seeing a therapist, talking to friends, and focusing on my career and passions. I don't have her in my life anymore, and honestly, that's a relief. I don't miss the bitchy attitude, the lies, or the manipulation. What I do miss is the version of myself that used to trust, that believed in love. But I also know that I can find that again, just with someone who's honest, real, and not so damn manipulative. Looking back, I wish I could have seen the warning signs sooner, but I also know I have no control over what's happened. All I can do now is learn from it. Trust is fragile, and I won't give it so easily again. I hope anyone reading this who might be going through something similar knows that it's okay to feel lost, angry, or betrayed. It's normal, but don't let it define you. If anything, let it teach you to be stronger, smarter, more cautious. Because at the end of the day, you're the only one who can decide your worth, and no betrayal can take that away from you forever. I'm still healing, still rebuilding, but I'm moving on. And I'm finally starting to believe that I deserve better than someone who lied and cheated and lied some more. That's what I've learned from all of this. Trust is hard-earned, and I won't give it away so easily again. I just hope that someday, when I'm ready, I'll find someone who's honest, who respects me, and who won't tear my world apart like she did. Because I know now that I am worth more than the pain she left behind.